Hello, Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Didi Rodrigo. I am a professor at the Department of Information Systems and Computer Science from the Ateneo de Manila University. And this afternoon, this is actually the first session of a series that is entitled Fun Facts, Tito Tita Advice on Research Grant Application and Management. And with me today are two of my friends from actually quite a number of years, Dr. Susan Festin of UP Diliman and Dr. Yami Suarez of De La Salle University. Also joining us is Dr. Arnel Wakay of Urdaneta City University, who will be assisting us with the administration of the Zoom room. The I think at this point, may I ask Doc Susan and Doc Yami to introduce themselves briefly? Susan, would you like to start?
Thank you, Didi. Good afternoon. I'm Susan Pancho Festin. I'm from the Department of Computer Science at UP Diliman. And as Didi has mentioned, um, I've known Yami and Didi because we're all in the ComSci field. And so we've done a few projects, so many grants. I think that's the reason why Didi asked us to uh, join this afternoon. So hopefully we can share something that would be helpful for you guys. Thank you.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Yami. I'm from DLSU, now College of Computer Studies, and I'm now also seconded to LIPA. So I hope that you find the conversation interesting. I just want to share that yesterday I was ordering food no on FB, and this guy said, "Tita, wait lang ah." I remember did it. No, tita na talaga kami. So it's a very up title. So I hope you find the conversation interesting and very helpful for you, especially for early career researchers also. Good afternoon.
Thank you. This first session, so this is the first of four planned sessions on advice regarding grant application and management. And this first session is really to kick things off. And we're here to talk about why we apply for grants, how we apply for grants, and do's and don'ts of grant application. How do we increase our chances of getting a grant, and how do we and what are some of the reasons why people don't get approved? And to start, it's meant to be a conversation, but I think to start things off, let's go with Doc Susan, who has prepared a brief presentation. I will stop sharing
Yes.
so you can.
So I'll just share my screen. So I just prepared a few slides because I tend to be like scatterbrained if I don't have sort of a cheat sheet. So this is just really for me to organize what I wanted to share with you guys, because otherwise I might forget stuff. So yeah, a bit of a disclaimer. The three of us are all com sci people, Didi, Yami, and I. So I don't know if we have participants from other disciplines like the arts or social sciences, because they also have grants for those. But uh, there's a disclaimer, I don't really have any idea on how to get grants outside of my area. So what I'll share will be, of course, predominantly from what I've experienced. So there are grants out there for other disciplines, but yeah, I'm not aware of how to apply for those outside of ComSci. And even if within ComSci I'm not an expert, I haven't figured it all out. I still get rejections in my grant applications. So that's not to discourage you from applying. But yeah, just to tell you that it happens even if you are an early career researcher, or even if you've been in the field for quite some time, it you also get rejection. So yeah, I can't give you something that is foolproof that would guarantee that you will get funded, but hopefully sharing what we've gone through would help you guys like increase your chances. Okay. Yeah, I dumped everything here because there are different types of grants. And I think Didit said we'll also talk about why do you want a grant, but essentially you want a grant because you want to do your research, right? And you can only go so far with your own funding, for example, if you fund yourself, but eventually you get more and more ambitious with what you want to do with your research. So when you become more ambitious, you need more resources. And when you need more resources, of course, you need more funding. So you need to get that funding from somewhere. And this is from my experience at UP. I don't know if there would be other types of grants that Didit and Yami would be familiar with, but these are the different types of grants that I've encountered. We have what we call an outright grant at UP, which is something like here's some money. We're giving you the freedom to use it how you want it. Just give us a report by the end of the grant period on how you used it. But they don't really dictate that so much percent has to go to conference presentation or so much percent has to go through hiring someone. It's essentially a money that you can use however you see fit. And sadly, this is how we really want a grant, no? If you ask me, this is what I want, but that's not how it happens. They don't really trust researchers that much to give outright grants all the time. So, but there are outright grants, so you just have to be aware that there might be some. And then the most common time probably is the research project grant or the research program grant, wherein there's a specific deliverable or set of deliverables, and there is a specific schedule. So there are expectations from the funding agency on what you will deliver. So that's the more typical type of grant, I think. And we also have professorial chairs, which is just like an outright grant because it sort of supplements the salaries of professors in UP that because you might want to do something and start a research that you might not have enough yet for the OST grant or a CHED grant. So this is sort of to start that, and they give you a professorial chair, which is just like an outright grant. The only expectation is that you just give a report at the end of the grant period on what you did with the grant. Then there are
Sorry to interrupt.
yes.
The professorial chair, is it uh for at what point do you get it? I mean, at what point of your career?
Well,
Because it's not given to
speaking,
everyone, right?
yeah, from my experience, I'm from the College of Engineering at UP. So we have the professorial chair is when you're eligible to compete for it when you become an assistant professor or higher. So at that level, you submit an application, and we essentially in the College of Engineering at UP, we are ranked according to our teaching and research and extension activities. But essentially the main motivation for this is to supplement the salaries of the UP professors. So I think majority of the professors in the College of Engineering has a professorial chair. I think there's only very few of us who don't have a professorial chair. And if you're not yet an assistant professor, there's also something that's called a teaching and research grant for our new instructors, new faculty members. And you also submit applications for that and you are ranked. The reason for the ranking is because there are different amounts to the professorial chair. Like there are professorial chairs that are larger in terms of the amount they give out. So the ranking is the one the thing that determines whether you get the higher amount chair or the lower amount chairs. But for now, I believe maybe 80 or 90% of us have a professorial chair. So yeah.
Yami has a question.
Yep, Yami.
And I just want to share that DLSU has a similar arrangement, but it's not really something you apply for, no, the professorial chair. It's something that's up, given by the college dean. So the dean decides who to give it to. At the very least, you should have your PhD. And then it's really allotted for conference registrations, purchase of equipment. Also limited how you can use it. So it's not really as outright as it would have been for UP. Years ago, it was given as something additional monthly, no? So it augments salary. But in recent years, it is really now focused on equipment, conferences, and more research type spending rather than as to augment the salary of the researcher. Yun lang.
I think in Ateneo, it's a little similar to UP in that we get an outright professorial chair to augment the salaries of the, I believe you're right. I think it's an assistant professor and up, but it's only once a year, and the grant amounts um are not very large. So when I think about it, maybe it will pay for one or two conference participations, but uh yeah, it's not much more than that. So um I guess every university will have sort of a slightly different structure. Here, Susan, go ahead.
And I think that the next grants are those that are like it has a specific purpose. For example, the travel grant, it helps you attend a conference, or you could probably do some sort of research visit with a certain group for a period of time. So there are travel grants for that. And then there's also a conference participation grant to help you attend a conference. Sometimes the grant requires you to present at the presentation, but I think there are grants for some IEEE or ACM conferences wherein, especially if you're a new PhD, where you can just attend and they're not requiring you to present. Then there is equipment grant, wherein you probably need something for your research. So the equipment grant helps you to either acquire that equipment, or if it's something that it's not easy to buy, for example, a access to a high performance computing facility, maybe just to for you to be able to rent or use that facility. And then we also have a writing grant that helps you if you're writing a textbook or a longer report, for example. You can apply for a writing grant so that you could probably take some time off, like a semester, to focus on that activity. And there might be some more that I missed. I don't know if Edith or Yami could add to other types of research funding. So
I think there are grants also if you want to commercialize your work. I remember the UST has, I forgot what it's called, but it's essentially if you have a minimum viable product and you want to take it to the next step already, you can avail of money to ramp up your to go from, let's say, prototype to something more sellable. Yami, any other grants that
Sometimes they have fellowships, no? So training, so specialized training, for example, to do commercialization. DOST has that program with the British Council called the Leadership in Innovation Fellowship. So that's also something you guys can apply. Our participants can apply for.
Okay, we've already mentioned several. Sorry, Susan, you might not be done yet. Please go ahead.
okay. No, Did, if you want to add to this, like the next one is sort of like possible grant bodies. Like I
Yeah,
just dumped.
the next thing I
Okay.
was gonna ask. Go ahead.
So yeah. So here I was trying to come up with a model of how to picture, visualize the different, like where can you get funding sources. So the inner circle is me, because honestly speaking, some of your research work will be self-funded. You start with your own money, especially when you're starting. So that's the self-funded research, that inner part. And then you could look like um try to widen the circle little by little. So when you're starting, you usually just look at your department or institute or your college if they have specific grants for the type of research you want to do or the type of work that you want to do. And then you could look outside your college, your university. So for example, for me, uh, at my department, I'm in from the Department of Computer Science. So typically, the sort of funding I could get from my department would be more of equipment grants. If I need additional equipment for my lab so that my students can do their research work together with them. So I could request that from my department. And then from my college, this is where I get those professorial chair. And sometimes our college also has research grants, smaller research grants for the faculty. And then the university, so at UP, we have our Office of the Vice Chancellor for Research and Development. That's where we have the outright grants, the writing grants. We have sort of a grant that encourages collaboration between different colleges. So it's a multidisciplinary research collaboration grant, so that if you have someone from, for example, from the College of Arts and Letters and Computer Science, they want to do a research project together. So there's a special grant for that. So that's from the university level. And then beyond that, you have your external funding. And there are those that are based in the Philippines, like the OST and CHED. Sometimes there are LGUs that have grants because they want help from the university to solve a specific problem. So they would engage, for example, a university in the Philippines to help them solve something. So that's also a possibility. But typically from the Philippines, my experience has been getting grants from the OST and CHED. And then there's also grants from outside the Philippines. And this is not an exhaustive list. I just really dumped everything that I could think of. The ones that I underlined are those that I've had personal experience getting grants from. But for example, usually the more developed countries have grants that you could apply for, like USAID. Japan has the JICA or the JSPS. Korea has KOICA. Germany has DAAD. Austria has this OEAD. And then the European Union also has grants. Yami mentioned earlier that I forgot to add the British Council also has grants. Um, Taiwan has the MECO TECO grant. They also have that. And then there are the agencies, international agencies like United Nations, UNDP, for example, UNESCO, UNICEF. Some of them have grants for specific research projects. The WHO also has grants, and the Asian Development Bank, the World Bank, for example, they have grants. And then there are the big, or for ComSci at least, the big IT companies like Google, Microsoft, they also sometimes have grants that you could apply for. And then for conference participation, yeah, IEEE and ACM also sometimes give out grants, especially for student participants. If you're a grad student and you're presenting a paper for an IEEE ACM conferences, they usually have this available that you could apply for a grant to either fully fund or at least partially fund your attendance in the conference. And then there might be other professional organizations that give out grants. And yeah, so far, yeah, those are the things that I've thought of. Maybe Yami and Didit can add also.
If I may, I looked for sites where these can be found. I'll just type it in the ano, I just paste the links in the chat box para they can take a look at it. But there is additional funding from NCCA that I wanted before to avail of, but I can share that later. May istorya kasi yun. So I'll post the link to the list of funding agencies in the chat box for everybody. Okay.
Susan, I just have a question. In your experience with the international grant giving
Mhm.
bodies, was it necessary for you to provide a counterpart? And the reason I ask this is because I like we availed of a grant from the British Council before. Um, and it turned out that the grant with the British Council was supposed to fund a project with between a university in the UK and Ateneo. And then it turned out I learned later on that um, the money from the British Council actually went to the UK university, and the money for the Philippine university actually came from CHED. So it was a counterpart arrangement that they'll only fund their local researchers. And I had a similar experience with, I forgot if it was JSPS. Essentially, the UST would fund Ateneo researchers, but JSPS would fund the Japanese counterpart. The sad story behind that is the the Ateneo people finished the grant proposal, but the Japanese researchers did not. So we weren't able to submit also. We were able to submit to DRC, but since the counterpart wasn't in place, wala rin. Then we weren't able to complete the application. But anyway, going back to my question, what has been your experience?
Yeah, if it's a research project, yeah, usually there's a requirement of a counterpart funding from the Philippines, whether it's from the University of the Philippines or from a Philippine organization like CHED or DOST. There's usually a counterpart funding expectation. Um, but the OEAD grant that I availed of was for a research visit to an Austrian university to conduct a short-term visit there. So that one did not require any counterpart funding. The MECOTECO grant that I availed of was for your training. So yeah, also no counterpart. So I think the counterpart funding is usually if it's a research project wherein it's a longer term and there is a team in the other country or other countries and there's a team here in the Philippines. So I think that usually requires some like counterpart funding from the Philippines. So the UN, WHO, and ADB grants were for like a specific, it's sort of a, they were looking for a local sort of consultant. So they have a research project here and they're looking for a local consultant. So it's not really joint research project. It's sort of more like it just so happened that what I was doing was aligned with what the their project was doing. So they wanted sort of some local consulting for that. The Google and Microsoft no, they did not require counterpart funding. So it's really more of a research, a short research. And they included some sort of training because you use their products or their services for that research project. Yeah. So yes, merong counterpart yung iba, I think. But if it's a training or visit grant, no, normally they don't require counterpart.
Yami, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I had a project once that was funded by the French government, no? And nag-require din sila ng ng counterpart funding. So I suppose generally if it's a research project, there will be counterpart funding, but maybe in other kinds, baka wala. Maybe they won't require.
Susan, did
Okay.
you want to continue?
I think this is the last one. So para we can go to questions, baka may questions na kasi. Yeah, I know this is sort of, we're just talking about the grants, but I sort of did this because um, the top box is like, if you're preparing for your grant, ano yung tips, like did it mention, let's share how to increase your chances. So I think these are things I've learned along the way. So number one, start with what you're comfortable with. Um, what is your specific area that you want to work on, and um, find a mentor and a group and learn from them, because really the only, well, I think the best way to learn how to write a good grant proposal is to observe and go through the process. So if there's someone that's working in the same area as you are, like, try to find a way if you could work with them and observe how they write their grant proposals and go about looking for funding. Usually this, if you're a grad student, this will be your supervisor, your graduate advisor, and you work closely with them and see how they package their research grants. Be objective about your capabilities. This is a lesson learned that sometimes when you're an early career researcher, you tend to overpromise what you can commit and sort of be too ambitious with what you are putting in your grant proposal, that you'll do this, this, and this. So try to be objective about what is doable within the time frame that you're applying for. And maybe it's good to have someone review your grant proposal first before you submit it, so that they could give more objective feedback, because sometimes, especially when I was starting, I tend to overcommit to what I can do. And yeah. Another thing I learned is also try to research the funding and the funding agency that you're applying to or you're applying for, because they might have specific um, areas that they want to focus on. So maybe your area is not something that's in their um, priority areas. So essentially, it's a matching game. You try to see if your research proposal is a good match for what they want to fund. Because sadly, it's not necessarily that they would fund everything that's ComSci. They might have specific area of ComSci that they want you to consider. So baka hindi ka good match for that. And then be open to collaboration, because there are grants that require that you have a partner in another country or in another university. So yeah, try to network amongst your peers or your colleagues so that you can find these opportunities for a collaborative um, research project. And then there are two possible outcomes. You get the funding that you applied for,
Oh, wait,
and
Susan,
yeah,
can I interrupt?
sure,
Um,
sure.
just before you go into success and failure, um, I received a piece of advice before when I was writing my first grant. Na parang you shouldn't reveal too much. Actually, I found it to be very I wasn't sure how to take the advice because it seemed very cynical. That don't give away too many details of the project, because if you give away too many details, then it's very easy for for somebody to just copy what you're doing. But you have a few secrets, and yet at the same time, you cannot uh you can't be too glib, because if you are too glib, then the depth and the complexity of what you're trying to do would be appreciated. So did you, or Yami for that matter, do you have any thoughts about that advice?
I think now reviewers of DOST projects, at least for P-shared, are required now to sign NDAs, and there are certain provisions there that, you know, it's the researcher's idea, so it's theirs. No, you cannot, I don't want to say the word. It's theirs. That's it. No. So and then there's that NDA. So when I receive, I suppose you've also experienced it. When I receive a request for me to review a proposal, they just give me the abstract, and then it's only when I say yes, no, and have signed the NDA that they really give me the full blown proposal. So I think maybe at least for P-share, they've already experienced, some situations where they feel that an NDA is merited in certain situations. So maybe that's why. Uh, I've never experienced naman yung medyo ganon. Medyo ganon, no? But it's fair. I suppose it's not only naman for career researchers na if it's also a question of, di ba, do you publish or do you patent? Parang ganyan din yun eh, di ba? How much do you reveal? You reveal only enough so they're convinced that they will fund you, but at the same time I would understand why kung walang ganong klaseng proseso yung funding agency that you want funds from, to also protect yourself a little bit and na parang not give the secret sauce, diba? Yun eh, not give the secret sauce.
Yes. In my case, I haven't encountered a situation wherein um somebody from the funding agency or the reviewing committee like took parts of what I proposed and used it for their own. But yeah, echoing what Yami mentioned, before walang NDA, but now meron ng NDA yung P-shirt. So bukang alam na nila na may possibility na magkaroon ng ganong situation, which is why reviewers are first asked kung may conflict of interest in them reviewing this specific research proposal. And then if they agree na walang conflict of interest, they're asked to sign an NDA. And before they get the actual research proposal details. So yes, I think that's a valid concern, Didit, because it can happen, I think, and it's probably if someone wants to do it, it's easy. But I think kung reputable naman yung kinukuha nila ng reviewers ng funding agencies, so hopefully that minimizes the chance that that would happen. Kasi if it's already an established researchers going to review your grant proposal, there's probably no need for them to try to steal your work or your idea, right? Well, hopefully there's no need for them, but it's still possible. So another thing that I've learned sort of along the way is before, kasi when I apply for a grant, it's totally new. It's a work that I haven't done yet. So what I do now, which is I don't really know if this is correct. I mean, if this is right or not, but like I already start the work myself, even if I don't have the funding yet. So I work, if there's a group of students who are interested in that kind of research problem, we work on it. And then when we think it's already at the stage where there's something really like promising with this, that's when we package it as a research grant. So but we don't really say that we've reached that point. Wow, midway na namin natapos yung project. But we give it as if parang nasa start pa lang kami. Parang we're doing it over. But we've already had some initial results or preliminary results. Kumbaga, parang ganun siguro inisip mo, Didit, na meron ka ng actual results, but you don't divulge it to you don't divulge everything to the funding agency. You give them the initial like motivation and the methodology, but the initial results you could keep it first to yourself and then sort of use the funding to further the work. So yeah, that's something I've sort of learned later on, no? Because ang problem kasi I think na experience ko sa Philippines is pag nag-apply ka ng research grant for something that you haven't done any work yet, for example, totally new. There's a tendency for some funding agencies to expect like so and so results. Parang sometimes they tend to micromanage the research process, that they want to see this, and this. And minsan nagbo-blow up yung expectations on what the deliverables are. So minsan, pero kung meron ka na kasing preliminary results, minsan kasi they expect a publication like immediately after you finish the 1 year or 2 year grant, which is honestly hindi naman realistic na makapag-publish ka kagad, diba? Kung nag-start ka from zero. Pero if you've already done some preliminary work, then it's possible na magkaroon ka ng publication within the 1 year or 2 year period kasi you already had previous work before the grant actually started. Yeah. So yeah,
Okay. And again, I'm sorry, I don't want to go to the results of the proposal just yet, because I think for it's possible that some of the people joining us today haven't actually experienced the process of presenting to funders. So perhaps we can tell them like what it's like. Yami, do you want to start? Like, what's it like to present?
But before doing the presentation, I just have
Sorry.
some things to add. For example, they have to be meticulous and start early. Because if you don't follow the format, your proposal is too long, that gets thrown out right away. Parang that's the first filtering process, no? Yung
And if
it's
you miss the
written
deadline,
properly. May, of
mm,
course, if you miss the deadline, that becomes a problem. Also, there's some surprise requirements, no, that sometimes we don't know if we don't read the rules before applying. So, for example, I remember pestering a university administrator because I had to have pala the endorsement of the university before I submitted. Eh, hindi ko alam, no? I was very young. Hindi ko alam yon. So, nahiyang-hiya ako. Kailangan ko na po ito today kasi po magde-deadline na, kailangan na i-submit. So, things like that. It's very good for us to really read the rules kasi iba-iba sila. Which goes to my NCCA story. Ang NCCA has annual funding, no, for projects. I wanted to work on digital archiving of indigenous dances. So, okay naman, okay, this is a good idea. Somebody said, oh, go to NCCA, may pondo. Okay, the deadline was in parang 4 weeks. O sige, ikakram natin yung 4 weeks. But the problem was, there's a requirement pala for your university to be accredited before you can submit. So you get what I mean, di ba? Naku, hindi ko na talaga ito magagawa because of that accreditation requirement. So we have to read the rules before we apply. You really know the ins and outs, and then if there's a grant officer, no, that you can talk to. So DOST we shared has grant officers, no, that can help you with very simple questions. Introduce yourself that you're interested, so that build relationships with the funding agency program officers because they can help you a lot. Not to get it approved, but to help you maneuver the process because it's also something very complicated. May bureaucracy din kasi ang magbibigay ng ano. Ang pag-apply pa lang is also very bureaucratic. And for good reason because they're giving you their money. They need to know that you're responsible. So, yun. And then, be very meticulous, read the rules, and look for the right funding agency just to pick up also on what Susan said. Not all funding agencies are the same. They don't all have the same objectives, no? So kailangan matingnan mo para saan, no, what you're applying for. Years ago, DOST was very keen on manpower development. So pag magpa-propose ka ng research, dapat meron kang grad students na mapapagraduate mo kasi ang thesis nila is right under the research program that you're applying for. But lately, hindi na yun ang focus nila. Ang focus nila is developing commercializable products, in which case they will not really require you to have 10 research students under you. Hindi na mentoring ang objective nila. It's really to increase the number of startups in the country, no, na magpa-pipeline research and then commercializable products. So yun din. So these are things that you will only get from your program officers. And by reading also the objectives and the themes, no, of your chosen funding agents. Yun lang.
did you want to say something about the process of presenting?
Ako, oo. Years ago when I had to present, kasi iba-ibang stages, no? So if you're only asking for a little money, you don't really go up the highest level of the hierarchy. So minsan ang strategy, if the minimum funding is 2 million, you go only after for the 2 million, pwede mo i-chop-chop or, bala ka. So if once 2 million, you only do one presentation. But as the project gets bigger and the funding you want also gets larger, you go up the hierarchy. So we were doing the proposal for emotion analysis. Noong time na yun, Didi, parang tayo pa lang gumagawa yung venue, parang almost a decade ago. No? And so we were in the governing council. It was very difficult to convince them that that can be done. no, na meron ka namang lit review. Ha, totoo ba yan? Parang di naman talaga pwedeng ma-detect ng computers ang emotions automatically. So it was a very difficult presentation. But I had a surprise advocate as part of the panel. So he was convincing them, you have to try something new, no? Because kung um, derivative work, bakit pa tayo bakit pa tayo gumagawa kung palagi na lang derivative work? So I got lucky that I had a surprise advocate on the other side. He was also a member of the governing council. So kung para ba siyang thesis defense, oo, kasi ang dami nila, they will ask you questions from many different directions. They're not all from computer science. They'll ask you if your timeline is realistic. They'll ask you if your budget, no? Bakit ganito? Minsan masinsin, minsan naman some will not care about the budget, some will care about, nung time na yun kasi ang hinahanap nila, research students, ilang PhD students ang mapapagraduate mo, what about the publication? Um, expect many different questions because they all come from varied fields. And no one's stopping them from asking any kind of question they want, di ba? Wala silang rules of engagement. They'll ask you anything and everything. So you have to be ready. In cases, meron ba? I suppose there will be an occasion na parang alanganin ka. Ano ba yung tanong niya? Hindi mo maintindihan? Clarify. Meron parang hindi ko pa po na-pursue yung line of research na yan. So you just say maybe what you have read from literature, just to be able to answer the question. Will you be relaxed? You can't, even if you like to. How long do you wait? A few hours before maisalang ka, no? Minsan, ang tagal kasi ng ang tagal ng, at DOS ito ang dami kasi nilang hinihear na proposals. So, pipila kayo, no? We had to wait, but again, what was helpful was the program officers were there. Oh, ma'am, sandali na lang po. Si ano na po, ganyan. Pang ano na po kayo sa pila. And then, ready na po ba kayo? They're very helpful, no? Very caring ang mga DOST program officers. And I appreciated those kinds of taking care gestures at the time. Kasi I was a young researcher and then sasalang ka sa something. Minsan hindi ka naman, that was my first time, no? So parang it was very challenging to have to present.
I'll insert
Sinwerte lang
one.
ako. Sige, go ahead, Didi.
I'll insert one story because I had that experience also of waiting for hours for my turn to present. And I think the panel was quite exhausted by the time because I was there at, I don't know, 7 o'clock in the morning, and I presented after lunch already. I mean, it was so long, and all the while you're not relaxed. You're really just on edge. So by the time I got into the room, the panelists had been sitting in their chairs for just as long as I had. And they had I think a harder job than I did because they had to pay attention to proposal after proposal, whereas I just had to pay attention to mine. So when I made my presentation, because we were only given like 5 minutes, diba? You have to get all your points across in 5 minutes because that's all the attention they're willing to give you. One of the panelists asked me a question, and I realized that it wasn't for my grant. It was for the grant after me. So I turned to my program officer because your program officer is beside you, like almost like a bodyguard. And so I turned to him and I said, what am I going to say? Because that's not my grant. And I am umambastos. I mean, you don't, not that I would have said anything rude, but you don't want to be misconstrued as being disrespectful, no? So yung program officer yung nagsalita na, sir, I think that's for the next grant. This is the grant of the. But yeah, it's quite the grueling process. And if just to riff off what Yami said, if you're not aiming for a lot of funding, if you're just going for the minimum amount, then you just have to present once, and usually that's not too bad. But if you're aiming for very large grants, then you have to jump through, well, it's at least 3 or 4 presentations at different levels. And the last level is the governing council. So, Susan, did you want to add?
Yeah. I also wanted to add because I've gone through this process recently because we're applying for a new research project, and it seems meron ding the larger the funding, yes, the more presentations you have to do. And for now, isa sa mga napansin ko is they also require a lot more revisions in the research proposal. So for example, if you pass the first level, um, they would probably say, okay, you can go to the next level, but can you put this in your revised proposal for the next level? Either they will ask you to revise something on the timeline or in the budget or in the deliverables. So that's what I've experienced recently na meron silang tinanong bakit ganito yung um, ganito katagal yung for this type of part of the project ganyan and or bakit hindi kasali ito, may mga ganun silang tanong na you have to address during the review, and then sometimes they will ask you to put it in the revised proposal as you go up the chain of reviews before you get to the final one. So sometimes they would require some revisions in between the stages. So that's why I said start with what you're comfortable with. Initially maganda dun ka muna sa mas maliit. Mas maliit nga siya pero at least one review cycle lang, no? Isang presentation lang. Kasi otherwise baka ma-traumatize ka kung ilang beses mo gagawin yung pag-present. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I one of the things that I find I'm not comfortable with now is having use to apply for a grant where I used literature of 2024 for a project that will be granted in 2026. Kasi ang timeline ngayon ay 2 years before you get the money, right? So my concern is you're doing state of the art, which is not state of the art in 2 years because of the very fast development, no? Ang bilis kasi nilang maglabas ng papel, for example, China na lang, or, very dedicated research laboratories abroad. Well, they don't do anything but publish. And then I apply for a grant and I do the lit review. And then once the money's out there, the problem might be solved. There's no novelty anymore because of the 2 year time period. No? So your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I
And
also find that
how do you
my
deal with that? How do you deal with that?
ganyan yung nangyari ngayon sa amin, Yami. We got like provisional approval, pero ang start namin is 2026. We're actually campaigning to start this year, 2025. Kasi for the same reason nga na 1 year lalo na 'di ba for yung edge fields parang 1 year a lot can happen the the goalposts will change 'di ba might change so I don't know, we're still in the process of waiting for a decision dun sa request namin to start earlier because I don't really understand bakit nagkaroon na ng ganong parang 2026 pa kayo pwede mag-start pero now we went through the review cycle last year, 2024.
Yeah.
So we got the approval. Pero hindi ko maintindihan bakit the starting year is 2026. I don't know if it's something to do with accounting, government accounting or not. Pero dati naman, hindi naman sila ganun, di ba? So, hindi ko alam kung bakit nagkaroon ng ganung situation right now.
Actually, we went through something like that as well because there was a call for proposals for volume technology. And so we were considering with callers in 2023 to start in 2025. And then in the meantime, so volume technology means, you have to install these huge pieces of equipment to create a studio and so on. And in the meantime, lumabas na yung Sora, and recently yung Google Veo and all these other video generation tools. Although I understand that we don't have access to them, but still, I think buti na lang we didn't pursue it because if we had started installing those that studio this year, baka by the time we're done, which is, it was a 2-year project, so 2027 matatapos, wala na, talagang it's old tech, diba? It's old, I mean, who would even use it?
It might also be difficult to publish na in high quality journals kasi nga hindi na siya unique eh. Wala nang novelty. So, anyway, yun lang.
I know that Susan still has a few more points to make, but I wanted to just check if there were any questions from the audience. If anybody would like to ask a question, you please feel free to type it in the comments, or you can also unmute yourself. Wala muna. Sige, Susan, please go ahead.
Actually, this is my last slide, DT. So yeah, just kasi and then yun nga, siguro if you get successfully funded, but I think there will be a session for this later, right? So we could probably just yeah, not have to, I won't do too much of it. But ang pinaka lesson for sa akin dito is to read the fine print in the contract, like avail of your university's legal team to help you review the contract, because sometimes there might be things there that you didn't realize that you have to fulfill. So also yung financial, kung may counterpart funding, ask your accounting office also to check whether the counterpart funding is correct, yung amounts, it's really what your university is committed to contribute as a counterpart funding. And human resources, also yung, especially for government, like sa UP, meron kaming salary standardization table so that we have to follow. For example, if we are hiring this level, ano yung salary grade, ganyan. So we have to check that we are using the current salary table in the research proposal. So when you're writing your research proposal, the line item budget, make sure that you're checking what is the current salary table, and you have to allot for some leeway because there might be changes in the salary standardization table while your project is ongoing. And by law, you're mandated to follow. So pag nag-increase yung salary grade 14, for example, amount from 14,000 naging 14,500. So you have to find the 500 pesos monthly from somewhere in your budget. So kailangan meron kang konting wiggle room dun sa budget mo pag nag-propose ka. Huwag masyadong eksakto kasi you need to reallocate later kung nagkaroon ng need to um, increase, for example, yung salaries ng staff. What else? Yung project deadlines, especially for DOST, usually make mga quarterly checkpoints yan na they will require you to submit a specific form for the quarterly reviews, and meron pang minsan quarterly review meetings, for example. So take note of those. Sabi ni Yami kanina, yes, there's somebody to usually help you. So sa DOST, they assign someone to help you monitor the project. So stay in touch with them because they will be the ones that are going to be the most helpful when you have questions and when you encounter problems. So update them. For example, if you're having problems with procurement or staffing or release of budget, make sure that they know kasi that will feed into the quarterly review. Kasi kung na-delay kayo for some reason in some deliverables because hindi lumabas kagad yung pera for your equipment, then at least they know that was what happened. Hindi yung intayin nyo yung quarterly review bago nila malaman na ganun pala yung nangyari. So try to stay in touch with your funding agency and your assigned project monitoring officer so that they know the issues. Ito important, document and record everything and keep a copy of your project files. This is a horror story that I still experience. Parang for projects that have already closed years back, sometimes I will get an email saying, "Can I get a copy of the final report that you submitted, including the accounting report and so on?" Kahit na close na yung project, I don't know why they knew that. They either lost their copy or hindi na forward dun sa, kasi nag-change din ng personnel yung funding agency, hindi na forward dun sa nag-inherit. Ako nga parang dapat may statute of limitations yata dapat yung sa mga ganitong request, no? But it's really weird that you get these emails that asks you for a copy of your final report for something you've done like 5, 10 years ago.
Yeah,
Um,
can I just butt in and say that I get requests like that for projects that closed in 2009. So yes, it happens.
Parang mas matagal pa yung dapat, ba yung tax returns natin yata hanggang 7 years lang naman nating dapat tayo audit. Parang mas matagal pa yung uh, pagka-audit sa atin minsan ng ano. So, yeah, keep a copy of your project file. Especially yung mga, well, for the UST, kasi usually you return to them if there's money that you weren't able to spend in the budget, right? So there's an official receipt that they will issue. For example, you return 100,000 pesos or 50,000 pesos, whatever amount. Make sure that that receipt, you have a copy of that and that you have a copy of who received it, the final project report and so on. Kasi minsan even that is being questioned eh. Parang nag-submit ka ba ng final report? Parang, so dapat meron kang parang receiving copy and you have a copy of that receiving copy ready for you to give it to them whenever they ask for it. So yeah. And then if you don't get funding, ito yung isang pinag-usapan namin kanina before we started. Sabi ko nga, you don't really know sometimes why you get rejected. Sometimes you know, sometimes you don't. And ako, I've learned the hard way. I'll just thank them and then try to ask for feedback politely if they will give it, but sometimes they don't give it. You don't really know why you got rejected. And this is important. Do not take it personally, really. I've had experiences before na kasama ko sa, kasi totoo yung sinabi ni Didit and Yami na when you apply for funding, sometimes you wait the whole day at the funding agency's office and wait for your turn. So makikita mo lahat ng mga nag-a-apply with you and then you see them after. Sometimes I've had co-researchers who are crying after their turn. So parang siguro na traumatize sila sa questions nung reviewers, for example, or baka sa sobrang kaba lang yun yung nervousness nila no, lumabas through tears afterwards. But don't take it personally, really. Sometimes the reviewers are in a bad mood kasi especially if they've been reviewing the whole day, by the time you get there, maybe wala na sila sa good mood and they're not really in a mood to be helpful anymore. That happens also. So yeah, just try to be objective about the way they ask you questions. Some questions will be helpful, and some will not be helpful at all. Some will be off tangent. Parang saan ang galing yung tanong na yun? Parang minsan they will give you questions that you don't know exactly what the motivation behind the question is. But yeah, just say politely that if you don't understand the question, ask them if they could reframe the question in a way that you would understand, or if you don't still understand the question, just say, sorry, I don't really know yet the answer to that. Maybe I will consider it. Kagaya sinabi ni Yami na baka hindi ko pa nakita yung part na yan. Kaya, minsan may suggestion sila na parang feeling mo hindi naman viable. Pero yeah, rather than like reject it outright, maybe you could just politely deflect deflect that suggestion, for example.
Sorry,
And
Susan, can I butt in? One of the suggestions we get a lot is, oh, can you work with industry? Can you look for an industry partner? And Yami, I don't know if this happens to you as well. The challenge sometimes is building these partnerships takes time. Diba? So if you hindi ganun kadali na
yeah,
that you have an industry partner. So what happens is that if you say yes, then that's another maybe, I don't know, 3-4 months of work of relationship building. And then it might not work. The industry partner might not want to work with you, and maybe their timeline is different from yours. So the funder can make suggestions, but sometimes you also have to find a polite way to say, it might not be feasible given our timeline and our budget and
So did it what what I've learned to do pag ganun yung ginagawa nila na may suggestions sila na parang feeling ko mahirap gawin. For example, like they say, can you work with industry? Parang usually, if kung kaya ko ibabato ko sa kanila yung question, parang, oh, yeah, that's a great idea, but you have suggestions on specific companies or yeah,
Yeah,
we will
recommend
reach
baka
out
may
to them or you
partner
have
companies
recommendations, yeah,
already.
we'll reach out to them and we'll ask them if they're interested, ganyan. So parang just to validate their suggestion, but also to help them realize siguro na hindi madali yung suggestion nila, no? Kasi if they have someone like in mind, then yeah, we will talk to them, but it's not, no guarantees that magkakaroon ng partnership. Yeah, and sorry, I don't want to use up all the time. That's really my last slide, so we can probably just entertain questions from now. I don't have anything else after this. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yami, did you have any thoughts about like what tips for how to get your grant to increase your
Uh,
chances of getting accepted?
Actually, not really to increase, well, tangentially, yes. So, I think that this whole thing of grant acquisition can be a developmental process, no, for researchers. So, like what Susan said, pwede naman you begin seeking funds within the university kasi that's a friendly environment because they will encourage you, they will help you and mentor you. You also get your hands dirty with research project management, how to manage the budget, do the disbursements, maneuvering university bureaucracy regarding release of funds, reimbursements. Matututo ka nun so that once you're ready, when you go to the ST or any other funding agency, it's in your CV already that you completed so and so number of internally funded research projects. And then once the ST gives you the money, it's gonna be very easy for you to manage that fund because you've already had experience managing university funds. Kasi at least more or less gonna be the same process naman. No? So that's number one. You build your profile also. No, you're a little bit more confident presenting to the UST because you've already done that before when you were securing your grant for for university funding. So I think you can take it slow, no, one step at a time. Will you get rejected? Of course, expect rejection. But once you get the rejection, uh, keep quiet, eat ice cream. But at the same time, it's not, you move on, no? It's not the end all and be all. Everybody gets rejected. The good thing about it is you can get very valuable comments from the rejections. Kasi yung komento nila, you get free comments, di ba? You don't pay somebody else for those comments. And if you get good reviews that about why they rejected it, it's a good learning experience to improve that proposal. And then improve it and then reapply again, maybe someplace else if it's just the wrong kind of funding agency. It's always an opportunity to grow. Yun siguro yung gusto sabihin. Whatever happens, when you get, whether if you get the grant or you don't get the grant, it's always a learning experience. And that's what makes it exciting. Kasi walang limitations, di ba? You can write anything in that proposal and then put your heart into it and say, eto talaga yung gusto ko, eto aspiration ko. And then they will comment and improve on it. So, it's a nice experience. Kung gusto mo, wag mo muna sabihin sa iba, nag-apply ka, para kung hindi natanggap, wala sana reject mo talaga masakit sa dibdib mo, di ba? But at the same time, I think it's very important as for a researcher to have to do this because this is where your promotions also lie, no? This is how you'll get your full professorship. Malaking nakasalalay for you to be able to pull in grants. So I think it's a very important skill for a young researcher to possess. Yan lang.
Thank you. I will make one last call for questions or comments from the audience. We're a little bit over time, but anything else from uh, any of the people in the room? Okay, I think uh, we don't have any questions. Thank you. So with that, please allow me to thank Yami and Susan for joining me this afternoon on our pilot episode. And if to the people who have joined us today, as I said, this is the first of four. So in 2 weeks, we'll have another session, this time from non-computer science people, Dr. Toby Derriot, who is from chemistry, and Dr. Cesar Villanoy, who is from marine science. And we'll make the registration information available. For now, please join me in thanking Dr. Yami Suarez, Dr. Susan Festin, Dr. Arnel Okay. Thank you all, especially those of you who have joined us. Sana nakatulong. We hope that the grant process is less scary, less mysterious, and we hope you'll join us again for more conversations. Thank you so much. Have a good afternoon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks, Edith. Thanks,
Thank you,
Susan.
Didi.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Yami. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you,
Salamat.
Thank
everyone.
you to all of you.
Thank you po.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.